So yeah, like this is about this basically this I'm gonna make this video blog or whatever you want to call it, and basically I'm just gonna like make videos when stuff happens, because I've been I've been a Bernie supporter since he ran for president last time, but I've actually been following Bernie for a long time, and what it is like I've already seen things happening that's telling me that this is going to be a lot like last time. And what I mean by that is that they're going to try to cheat Bernie. I mean, they already are. It's obvious as whatever. But on this, let me just give you a quick rundown. On this channel, I'm not going to do news stories or whatever, but I'm going to talk about what's going on. So I might have a clip or something that I play, like a news clip or like something that people are tweeting about or whatever. That's cool. But the main thing is that I kind of want to like document this as it's happening, because it's just ridiculous. And I think we have to, so there's that. I'm a supporter. I'm a Bernie bro, or whatever you want to call it. And I'll tell you my history with Bernie real quick. So I'm not a sycophant. I'm not like a Bernie worshiper. Like Bernie, he's probably the best politician that we're ever going to get in our lifetime, you know? Like if this don't work, then this is it, you know? I don't know. There just isn't nobody like Bernie that really is trying to fight the system. And my history with Bernie is that I was in the military after I got out of high school. One of the main reasons I joined the military is because it wasn't really easy to do anything when I got out of high school. Like, in order to get a college loan, you had to, they were still going by how much income your parents had. So if you had too much income, if your parents made too much money, you couldn't get student loans and grants until you were like 24 or 25. I don't remember what it was, but I wasn't that when I got out of high school. When I got out of high school, I was not that. Doesn't that seem kind of funny to you? And then all of a sudden the options look like, I could either go be a bum somewhere. Maybe I could go to college, maybe not. In my situation, I couldn't. At the time, I didn't have financial aid, and I was pretty much broke. And then it wasn't really a thought, too. Like, it wasn't like, oh, I should go to college, because when you first get out of high school, you want to make money. My thought was, how am I going to make some money? So anyway, I get out of high school. I end up joining the Army. I'm in the Army for about a year. I get injured, and I get out of the Army. And when I first get out of the Army, I come back here to the Flint area, and there's nothing going on here economy-wise. This is after the factories have all shut down, and there's been no jobs for a long time. Like when I got out of high school, when we were in middle school, we were talking about how there wasn't going to be GM jobs when we got out of high school. That's how bad we knew it was going to be. And I live in a city that's outside of Flint. We're not even Flint. We're a white suburb about 10 miles north of Flint. But we knew that was our fate then, even as white kids. Because there was this thing where they were like, oh, GM will no longer allow people to just let their kids to hire right in. That thing was done by the time we were in middle school. So anyway, all this is just too much information. Basically, I get out of the military and I have to move in with my grandma, because basically I don't have any job. I don't have any income. There's no jobs around here. If you do get a job, it's really not enough. It's not paying you enough to move into an apartment and all that. So I started living at my grandma's, and she watched MSNBC and C-SPAN. That was kind of her diet, MSNBC and C-SPAN. And so I'm sitting there watching this with my grandma, and all of a sudden I start noticing this guy named Bernie Sanders. And he's like basically, speaking out against I believe the thing that caught me right then and there was like he was talking about the budget at the time. And this is 1994, when Bill Clinton's president. And I've seen a floor speech on C-SPAN, and that kind of got me hooked. And then I started listening to him as much as I could. And basically, I don't really remember too much about that, because it isn't like, there was a ton of Bernie coverage on MSNBC and C-SPAN back in 1994. It's not the case, but that's where I started noticing him. because I wasn't really interested in politics too much. I basically didn't even vote for Clinton the first time because I didn't really, I just got out of high school. I was only 20 years old, I think, when Clinton was running the first time. And it just there wasn't nothing about it that really, I didn't care. I was just too young to care, I guess. But the very next time he ran, I was already kind of tuned in to what was going on in politics. I had already been in the Army and out. And then I already had started to learn what the U.S. military actually did. So that's funny. I was already in the Army and out of it and didn't know yet for another, little bit, like 2 years or so, how bad it really was. And by the time Clinton was trying to run again, it was already lesser of two evils for me at that time. So, fast forward it basically all the way, Obama, we'll stop at Obama real quick, majorly disappointed me, and I had to hold my breath while I voted for him the second time, basically because I didn't want Mitt Romney to be president for so many reasons. And basically, I held my nose and voted for Obama the second time because the first time what caught my attention is the way he reminded me of Bernie Sanders. The way he was talking out against the elite and the establishment and the bankers, that was his whole shtick against Hillary. And it was an easy shtick to have against Hillary because she was just blatantly, overdone on all those things. And I don't really know. There's not a whole lot of details to that, but just that's kind of the gist of where I started getting back into politics, because I really didn't care too much, obviously, through the whole Bush era. I could get into that more, but let's just not even care about that. It leads us to 2016, where there was a lot of stuff going on that we were seeing as we were, I don't know what you want to call it, like a lot of people were just learning about Bernie at the time. And we were like, it was a big deal that we were just trying to get the information of his platform out to people, and we were doing huge efforts. Like I've never seen in my life the amount of people that were devoting their time to canvassing, phone banking, and all that stuff for a political candidate. It just was unprecedented in my lifetime. I've never seen it. And I've always heard the news talk about it, like, oh, if you got a grassroots campaign and you can get a lot of individual donations, then you're going to be you're going to win. And, and you get that infrastructure, the 50-state infrastructure. And we had all that, but we were getting cheated time and time again on these elections, one after another. There was something happening. Like if you're new to this, you might have seen it in Iowa. That was happening. And it wasn't like the same thing was happening in every election. It was different every time. And that's kind of the nature of how you do election fraud, is you throw away 100,000 registered voters over here, and maybe they'll register again before the election. Maybe they won't. You do some electronic malfeasance over there and then shred the ballots later. You have your famous ex-president husband standing out in front of a polling location, or basically too far into the polling location to where it's such a distraction that people won't even go vote. You make the voting lines long. You move it. You shut down locations of polling so that people have to go an hour out of their way into a really busy area and wait 3 hours in line to vote. These are the things that they do, like little things here and there that you think, well, that's not going to change the election. Like they tried to push this whole Russiagate idea, like, oh, a couple of memes are going to change the election. A couple of memes are not going to change an entire election. But if you have a couple of memes and you mix that with somebody rigging an app so that it don't count the votes right, and you mix that with all these things, we noticed back then, we're always going in favor of the establishment and against Bernie, in favor of Hillary, against Bernie. And it was too much to bear. We couldn't take it anymore. So, we went to Philadelphia because we felt like this movement is so strong, and we did win. We won, man. Bernie won in 2016 against Hillary. And if you don't believe that, you weren't paying enough attention. And all the rigging and cheating was revealed. So you should know about that, because we were telling people in real time and nobody believed us. But the WikiLeaks came out and they still didn't believe it. And now that's all been said and done. Donna Brazile had to quit from CNN, and W. Wasserman Schultz had to step down from being the leader of the DNC because they cheated and they got caught. And it's like, I remember a statement, someone was like, one of the people in the media was like, what kind of platter should we use to bring Debbie Wasserman Schultz's head out on? Because that's how bad it's going to be when they go in and talk about, you know, what the future of the DNC is after the election. And, you know, after all of that, we basically, then we got lied to. You know, we knew, and we uncovered all that. The WikiLeaks, we uncovered all the cheating and the lying and the sabotaging and the whatever else you want to say. Like, you know, all these attacks that they did against Bernie, all the attacks you're seeing them do against Bernie now, they already did them. They did them in 2016. They did them when he was running for Senate. They did them when he was running for mayor of Burlington. These are the same old attacks that they always roll out for Bernie because they don't have any way to attack Bernie. And it's not like they're attacking Bernie anyway. When they attack Bernie, they're attacking his platform. They're attacking his movement. They're attacking you and me. They're attacking people that want the government to actually do what the government's supposed to do, because they don't want to do that. They don't want to have to do the heavy lifting of being the government and doing the work of the government. They want to sit here and like have, you know, $3,000 a plate dinners or more. That's like the cheap one. Just to, you know, have these situations where it's like access. They want access to the politicians. The journalists want access to the politicians. The politicians want access to the journalists. The journalists are all celebrities. Celebrities want access to all of them. And it's just this big club that don't care about you anymore. And when we come up and say, hey, what about us? That's just noise to them. And what they're doing now is the same thing. And it's like these people are set in their ways with the money and the power, and they do not want us to interfere with that at all. So you're going to see this thing go way, way worse than it already is right now. Like, we've only had 2 elections already. We've had Iowa, where it was obvious chicanery with this app and the people involved with making the app. Now we find out that the app goes all the way up to the DNC, had some kind of part in it. You know, there's just obviously, and like I said, can I prove anything? Can I prove that there is something in the app that when you said that Bernie got this many votes, then the app reported that many votes? I don't know if that's the case. But the bottom line is we know that when they scrapped the app and they started counting it by hand or whatever other way they counted it, then the other ways that they cheat caucuses was obvious as hell. Like there was one I seen where Bernie had 111 and Buddy Gig had, 86? And they did a coin toss. You can probably see the coin toss. This isn't the famous coin toss that everybody, that one kid that did the weird coin toss. This was the lady that did the coin toss. And she did the coin toss and it went to Buddy Gig, and she gave Buddy Gig, I don't know, the win on the coin toss somehow made it so he got the same amount of delegates as Bernie. And, you know, if you follow Tennille on Twitter, you'll know. If you keep watching my videos, I'll talk more about that later. Because I'm sure, because he's following everything. And I don't know if he's going to try to do more of this stuff. But he audited. He was a part of this team that audited the results and compared what happened at the caucus locations to what the state's reporting. And the Iowa Democratic Party. So I'm not going to get too into all the details of some of these situations, because you can go find other videos where investigative journalists have actually uncovered a lot of good information that you should know about. I'm just going to be like, okay, you know what's going on. I'm going to assume that people watching this know what's going on. So it's 2020. And they're rolling out the old Bernie bro propaganda again, and it's worse this time than last time. The reason I say that is because this time we have way, way more diverse supporters. Not that we didn't have a lot of diversity last time. Last time, this whole Bernie bro narrative did kind of fall on its face when, if you look at the statistics, even though he was running against Hillary Clinton, who was heavily loved as a Democrat by, people that vote Democrat all the time. Like, I'm an independent. I'm a leftist, super leftist, so I don't really care about what regular mainstream Democrats are thinking or voting or anything, but I know for a fact that most of them people love Hillary, and a lot of them people are people of color. And hey, I don't have any problem with their preference or whatever. When I remember canvassing for Bernie, and we were at a house of people that were probably Mexican American, and the guy, he was probably like, I don't know, he seemed like the grandfather figure maybe at that situation. He was basically like, oh, I don't know, I should vote for Bernie, but I probably should vote for the lady. And it's like, there's that too. There's this whole idea that he was running against, not a white male, the power structure. It was a different dynamic. You had this old white guy or this lady. And it was like, it didn't matter if anybody even knew her history. It was automatically like, oh yeah, we could have a woman president. And yeah, that was what we were up against as far as the diversity goes. It was very hard to get, too many people on board if they were already just thinking like that. Like, a lot of people don't vote based on policies, to be honest. Even people that are hurting, and Bernie speaks to their hurt, they vote on other things. Like, popularity is kind of the main thing people vote for. So if someone perceives popularity to be a rising thing with the candidate, they're going to go with that candidate. That's why when you see someone like Bernie or Buddy Gig surge a little bit, their poll numbers go up a lot. Because people see that that's somebody that might win. People like winners, and I don't know. I mean, I get a little nervous sometimes thinking about it, but that kind of popularity thing could be how somebody like a Bloomberg even could beat Bernie. But I really believe Bloomberg has a ceiling, especially running as a Democrat. Even running as a Republican, he's got a big ceiling. As far as this channel goes, YouTube is a battleground, and I'm not gonna swear on this channel. We'll just say that right off the rip, because there's no reason to. Like, I'm going to get really mad, and I'm going to be mad about what's going on when it happens, but I don't think you really got to swear about it anymore, than just talking about it, because it's just, when you see it happen, there's really nothing you can do about it. That's the sad part, and it's frustrating. And when we went to Philadelphia, we're sitting there at the gate while they're doing, important stuff in there that's screwing us over, and we're all hearing about it in real time, and CNN is like, hey, they're at the gate ready to crash it, and we're like, all of a sudden they cut over to Boys to Men, and then while we're sitting there at the gate, it's just this frustrating feeling of what can we really do about it? Because on the other side of the fences, which is about a mile from the actual door to the convention center, on the other side of the fences is like a whole line of shotgun wielding cops. And I'm sure they just had riot guns or whatever, but that was pretty intimidating, a show of force. They all had shields and helmets. They were ready to go, And you feel helpless when you see anything that they're doing. You feel like, well, you can't do anything about it, and it's kind of the sad thing. But you can plan to let them know that you got to let them know that this isn't right. This isn't going to fly, and especially if Bloomberg is the thing. If they screw Bernie over and Bloomberg is who's the nominee, it's going to be hard to maintain discipline, to say the least, because that really essentially tells you that your democracy is over. There's no such thing as a democracy. If some billionaire can come by and just find some quarters between his couch and have more money to spend on a political campaign than all the other candidates put together and win handily because you can put out more propaganda than anybody else, you don't live in a democracy at all. That's a plutocracy. That's an oligarchy. That's somewhere where money means more than you. Like, if somebody has money, to the Democratic Party, who from all measures, have been broke. The Democratic Party has been very broke ever since 2016 ended. The way Hillary's deal with them went didn't go good for them. And then later down the road, nobody's donating to them because everybody thinks they're pretty much scammers. They've seen the cheating that happened in 2016, and they don't want to give that money. Why would you want to give that money when you know on the other end, everybody that's a Democrat, like the actual party members, are taking money hand over fist to the point where people like Nancy Pelosi became the richest congressperson while in office. And I'm not talking about any money that outside of the corrupt money that she took in. I'm just talking about that, and you can look this up on Open Secrets. It's not a secret. I'm not pushing propaganda or lying about people because I don't like them. So this channel, I don't know how often I'm going to make videos or how long they'll be. It just depends on what's happening. I really just feel like I want to do this because I want to talk about it more with people, and we don't really have a whole lot of people around here. I live deep in Trump country like everybody else. And it's like, catch me on these videos. I'll think of something else later. Peace.